अरविंद केजरीवाल जी का सच सामने करने का।
All right, so the government has dedicated a memorial for Pranab Mukherjee. A statement that's also coming in from Sharmistha Mukherjee, the daughter of late Pranab Mukherjee, who says, and I quote, "Baba used to say that state honors should not be asked for, it should be offered. I'm so grateful that Prime Minister Modi did this to honor Baba's memory. It does not affect Baba where he is now beyond applaud or criticism. But for his daughter, words are not sufficient to express my joy," unquote. With this, the government has given a nod to memorial for Pranab Mukherjee. We have Sharmistha Mukherjee joining us on the phone line. Sharmistha Mukherjee, your first response to government giving a nod to memorial for your father.
I'm extremely grateful to Honorable PM Shri Narendra Modi ji, and this was totally unexpected because, as a family, we did not ask for it. Of course, his party did not ask for it. They didn't even bother. But so it just came as like a fantastic, and I received a letter from the government on 1st January. So I think this is the best New Year gift I could ever hope to receive in my life. And I'm really, really grateful to the government of India and especially to Modi ji,
Yes.
for doing this in
Yes.
the memory of my father.
Yes, and your message to the naysayers also, because Congress, from what we have heard from you, did not even bother to call CWC meet at the time of late Pranab Mukherjee's demise.
Yes, it was most unfortunate and most uncalled for. But today, this is a moment of joy. This is a moment of prayer and gratitude. So at this moment, I wouldn't like to unnecessarily, point out to people who did not do things. But I would rather be grateful and express my gratitude to people, to organizations, to the government who did something.
Ms. Mukherjee, a lot of politics have essentially been played following the demise of former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. Congress party essentially saying that the government has tried to disrespect the former Prime Minister. This comes at a time when you've largely spoken about the manner in which your father was treated by the Congress party. How do you really reflect on this entire issue?
And I think this unnecessary politicizing demise of such a graceful person like Dr. Manmohan Singh. Personally, he was an extremely dignified person. His family is a very dignified family. The controversy would have occurred that if the family or the party, Congress party, they demanded a memorial and the government denied it. But the government immediately agreed. So where is the controversy about it? So I really don't understand that what is the controversy. And on the other hand, the Congress is made someone cry. But it turned out that for the Astik election ceremony, not a single person from Congress was there. When the nation is mourning Dr. Manmohan Singh's demise, Rahul Gandhi is supposedly visiting abroad to celebrate New Year's. So is this the kind of respect being shown to their one of the most veteran leaders? Congress should seriously introspect and should really, unnecessarily don't try to politicize the death of such a dignified person.
Ms. Mukherjee, I also want to stress upon the meeting that you've had with the Prime Minister. I believe that this is with regards to the memorial that is going to be dedicated to the former President of India, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, and a political stalwart of our nation. What exactly did the Prime Minister really convey to you?
Well, it was more of a courtesy call. I received the letter on 1st January, but I did not, want announce it publicly before the government announces it. But I immediately sought an appointment with PMO for just to thank the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister has always been very, very kind to me. And whenever I sought time with him, just as courtesy visit, he always gave me time. So this was also a very, very pleasant visit. And, he recollected my father's association with him. And he had always greeted me with extreme kindness, affection and courtesy. So it has always been a pleasure. And of course, I really thanked him profusely from the bottom of my heart, from the core of my heart, for thinking about this. But because to be very honest, we as a family, we never demanded a memorial for my father. We never asked for it because my father always used to say that state honors should be offered. It should not be demanded or asked for. So we did not ask for it. He did it on his own. So this is something immensely, touching the gesture for me. And I'm really, really grateful to him. Really grateful to him.
Well, Mr. Mukherjee, one cannot forget the relationship that your father has also shared with Prime Minister Modi. And one would recall the time and again how the former President of India has largely spoken about the initiatives that were also brought in. I want to also ask you this question as to how exactly is the family really looking at it, as you're rightly saying that this is something that your father has largely spoken about, that you cannot perhaps demand for it. But how do you really look at some of the responses that came in, particularly after the demise of former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, and the fact that there were questions that were being raised about the memorial, which perhaps your father too deserved?
Well, to be very honest, of course, the Congress ecosystem, they went after me for raising the issue. And the immediate, response is that, I'm joining BJP. Whereas I have quit politics, I don't have any intention to join BJP or any other political party. And I made it very clear in 2021 itself. And but that's the immediate, the trolling. And that is my greatest, sadness about Congress, that, they talk about freedom of expression. They talk about, maintaining dignity in public narrative. But the moment one dares to criticize their leader or point out at some, something missing action on their part, so immediately the whole ecosystem just jumps on you, and not just trolling me, but trolling my dead father, who was one of the stalwart leaders of their own party. So, this is something I'm realizing about Congress, that Congress pushes away their own. Congress humiliates their own. So anyway, but as I say, today is a day for, being grateful. So let's not just talk about this. I mean, let's not talk about this. What they do or what they don't do, they are answerable for it. I mean, my father got enough across the party line. Across the party line, he got respect, and he is receiving Bharat Ratna from a party, from a government whom throughout his political career, ideologically they were different, and the kind of immense respect PM Modi holds for him, that talks about the true strength of our democracy and the true decency of our democracy. So unnecessarily somebody is trying to, if some political party and the upholders of the so-called moral values of Indian politics, if they try to throw mud at it, that is their problem. That's not mine.
One more question that I would like to ask. One, as a daughter of the former President of India. Second, as a politician too. Are you disheartened that the very political party that your father served for several decades put together, known as the troubleshooter, that the party really resorted to almost every time that it saw a crisis, perhaps has not really perhaps decorated the legacy of Mr. Pranab Mukherjee as the way the government of the day has recognized the contributions that have been made by Mr. Pranab Mukherjee? As a daughter, how do you really look at it?
I'm extremely disheartened. I'm extremely sad. And when I tweeted that the CWC did not even hold a formal condolence meeting, there is a difference between an institutional meeting and individual condolences. Of course, Sonia Gandhi ji wrote me a very, very beautiful letter. All the senior leaders, they called or came, and that was during COVID period. But, CWC meetings were being held through Zoom. So they could have easily done a Zoom meeting, and that is the time I asked one of the senior leaders, and who told me for the presidents they don't do it. But later on, going through my father's diary, I came to know that during K.R. Narayanan's when he passed away, CWC meetings were held, and my father only drafted the condolence message. So I was quite shocked, actually, at that time. So, of course, I was very sad. I was very disheartened. And so when I expressed, it was totally bad. But, it just needs to be gracious enough to say that, yes, we made a mistake, and we are sorry about it. Rather than trying to abuse not only the person who raised it, but her father, who is no more and who was one of their most stalwart leaders of their own party. So this is the most astounding thing I find. This is the most disheartening, most disgusting thing about the current brand of Congress leader that I find.
Mukherjee, I'll request you to bear out on this because this is also a big moment for the nation. And tonight, along with you, I also have Narasimha Rao's grandson, Mr. N.V. Subhash, who is joining us. Mr. Subhash, Sharmistha Mukherjee, daughter of the former President of India, is also with us. And this is a big moment for the country as we are remembering the legacy of the former President of India, Congress stalwart Mr. Pranab Mukherjee. And Subhash, we've seen how your father, your grandfather was also, perhaps many would say, disrespected by the Congress party. And that remains a big concern. And the fact that this is a black spot in the history of Indian politics. How would you essentially look at this entire issue panning out, the war over the memorial that we have essentially seen following the demise of the former Prime Minister, Mr. Manmohan Singh?
See, the situation is that, the Congress party always wanted to focus their own leaders, even though there are so many failures within, the Congress party or, the Gandhi family. But still, people who have really dedicated their entire life and then for the benefit of the party and for the benefit of the country, whether it's, the President of India or ex-President of India or ex-Prime Minister of India, who belong to their own party, they wanted to, defame them, they wanted to belittle them. This is the saddest part when we compare to Bharatiya Janata Party.
Mr. Subhash Rao, sorry I'm interrupting you because Sharmistha Mukherjee is also with us and it's a big moment. Is there anything that you want to convey to Ms. Mukherjee with regards to this big moment? Sharmistha ji, N.V. Subhash Rao, grandson of P.V. Narasimha Rao, is also joining us on this broadcast.
Yeah, Sharmistha ji, it's a pleasure to talk to you. This is Subhash here. It's the greatest moment for your family and for our family also because you have been constantly fighting for, the sacrifices made by your late father. We have so much of regard for him. And, your father and my grandfather used to work very, very closely. But unfortunately, the Congress party just wanted to belittle, our families and, the legend. The legendaries of the Congress party. Without them, I'm sure that Congress party would have gone into pieces. But ultimately, this is the time for greatest moment that your fighting has been accepted by the BJP, and the memorial has been built and they have given, and including Dr. Manmohan Singh. But this is the saddest part of the Congress party because. They should have done, so many things for the late Prime Ministers and late Presidents. But as I said earlier, that, in order to focus, the Gandhi family, they wanted to belittle, other party, where, the leaders within their own party.
Right.
But this is the saddest part of the Congress party. I don't know why they wanted to do it. They wanted to have their own control over the party. That's what I feel.
Ms. Mukherjee, you've heard what Mr. N.V. Subhash had to say.
I would just like to add one more thing. I would just like, PV, Honorable former Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao was not just a Prime Minister, he was also Congress President.
President, exactly.
And imagine a Congress President's body not being allowed within Congress headquarters, the premises of AICC. I mean, that is, I think, the greatest travesty. And that is the time I remember, and my father told me about this, and this is one point, he could never forgive Sonia Gandhi for, that when the body came and the truck was waiting outside, and he requested Sonia ji to open the gates of the ICC, but she remained silent, and no action was taken. And there were other instances also when, your grandfather was going through, after his prime ministership, going through various troubles. There were cases against him. So many senior leaders of the party, including my father, were given messages from the High Command not to keep in touch with him.
Right.
But of course, my father never did it. And later on, I discovered from my mother's papers that, in the court of bail, my mother stood surety for the bail of
exactly.
P.V. Narasimha Rao ji.
Exactly. I was
a long
about to tell that. Let me interrupt on that. I was about to tell that this is Mrs. Mukherjee who had given, the surety and, the guarantee for the bail to late Narasimha Rao. This is, though there were so many people who would have really afforded, they should have owned Narasimha Rao because he happens to be the president also. And they should have owned, because in the difficult times, they should have really owned him. But just because of Mr. The Pranab Mukherjee, who did not listen to the High Command words, and he has made Mrs. Mukherjee to give the surety. This is the greatest friendship.
Right.
This is the honor where the great leader Mr. Pranab Mukherjee has given to late Narasimha Rao. This is kind of we give the great honor.
Ms. Mukherjee, as well as Mr. Subhash Rao, I must thank you on behalf of all viewers of Republic TV for this fascinating conversation. I'm just requesting both of you, as we remember the legacy of Pranab Mukherjee tonight at 9 p.m. I'm really hoping, Ms. Mukherjee, as well as Mr. Subhash Rao, that you will be able to join us as we remember the contributions that have been made by both the stalwarts. And it is time for the nation to remember their contributions and what makes India a very different country because of the contributions that they have made. I'm really hoping, Ms. Mukherjee, you will join us at 9 p.m. tonight.
Thank you.